puts us at 82, 49, and 8 on the season, hitting at a 62.5% clip.
Back-to-back golden boots. That's 3 in a row for me. 3 too, man. Like, not a dime. That's called being for the people.
It's over! The Columbus Crew, 2023 MLS Cup champions!
Alrighty, welcome in everybody, and welcome back to Sports Prophet TV. This is the MLS Live podcast. As always, I'm Cooper, and with me is Garrett, aka JSomefooty. Almost a break-even week last week. We are still sitting at a nice hit rate at 53 and 41, right at 56%, and we are still up 17.35 units, despite losing a little bit of juice last week, but we're back to keep the good times going and looking to get back in the win column.
Yeah. It sucked dropping some 2-unit plays last week. That was really the difference. Ultimately, it was an RSL goal. That was probably the big difference. Just one of those weeks, like not everything goes your way. So
yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you're going to have some breaks go your way and go against you. But if you follow the show, for any period of time at all, you're aware that our 2-unit and 3-unit wagers have been really, really good, very consistent, and they have been multi-unit plays for a reason for us. So I think we got another 2-unit on tap today. So hopefully we can rectify that and get back going.
Yeah, we ain't scared.
Of course not. No, we're not scared, but really quick before we jump into it, because we do have 5 official show plays for this week. Next week, Leagues Cup is back. So this Saturday will be the last Major League Soccer day of fixtures until Leagues Cup kicks off. This was a really fun tournament last year. We didn't really necessarily know what to expect from start to finish, but it was awesome. And we are going to have episodes for Leagues Cup again this year. We're just going to keep it rolling just like we did a season ago. And it was awesome. It's every single MLS team and every single Liga MX team, and they group them. The groups are actually right there. I'm already got tickets to the Monterey and Austin game. The way it works, obviously, all the games are going to be hosted in the United States by Major League Soccer clubs. And then you have 4 Liga MX teams that the Leagues Cup organization or group or whoever decided those 4 Liga MX clubs are going to get home base. So they're going to get a home away from home. Basically, they're going to have a stadium designated as their home stadium in the United States. So the teams, I think, were Tigres, Monterey, Club America, and I want to say
is it not Chivas?
And Chivas, yeah. So Chivas,
yeah, they were going to give it to the big dogs.
Right, yeah. So Chivas and Club America, their home away from home stadium, they'll both be in California. Big venues, not Major League Soccer venues. They're like big, big venues. One may be the Rose Bowl, one may be where the 49ers play. I don't have it in front of me, so I could be wrong on one of those. And then Monterey and Tigres, I think, are going to be based in Houston at NRG. So, because I've heard a lot of MX fans saying, "Well, don't even think about comparing, Leagues Cup to CONCACAF Champions League or whatever." Obviously, there are different tournaments, but look, when Tigres is playing a home away from home game in NRG, it's gonna be a Tigres crowd. So I mean, they at least did that to somewhat level the playing field. And even games that are not played at these home base stadiums, you're still going to have a ton of MX fans at the venues, just like they did last year. In fact, I think weren't you at the Nashville Club America game?
Yeah, it was.
And what percentage was that?
Oh, it was. I felt like I was at an away game.
Right.
It was pretty intense. And Nashville actually got like a decent turnout, but it's one of the more rowdy games I've ever been to. Like just with Liga MX fans in general, or if you go to um anytime the Mexican national team plays, I mean they come out, man. They got fans.
Oh, big time. Yeah, and it is rowdy, like you said, but I thought it was a great success. It's coming back again for 2024.
No, it was great. It had
Yeah,
like I think last tournament had 251 goals in total. So like it was just there were just goals left and right. It was a lot of fun.
yeah, it's going to be a blast, and we will be continuing our show through Leagues Cup once again this season. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Though we got 5 more plays on deck for you guys. First game on tap is going to be Atlanta United back at the Benz here on Saturday, hosting what some folks are calling the best team in Major League Soccer, Columbus Crew.
Yep. And before I start, as always, please like and subscribe. That just helps us out. If you leave a comment, of course, the algorithm loves that, and we always do our best to make sure we reply to those comments. So appreciate that. If you do any of that, thank you so much. We'll jump into it. Atlanta hosting the Columbus Crew, the Crew who just gave up a game-tying goal to Charlotte. Kind of a wild game, but it's going to be Crew draw no bet here at Atlanta. I'm going to eat the juice. I think it's like minus 136 was when I grabbed it a couple of hours ago. Listen, you make the Crew playable, and I'm going to be interested in it. I'm not a fan of this Atlanta side. They only have one DP now, of course, because of all their sales. You're looking at road, though, the Crew being on the road plus congestion. I mean, we're talking a busy month of soccer here in July. So instead of taking the money line, which I think is viable in normal circumstances, I'm going to play the draw no bet and just take a little juice for instances just like tonight, where here you see the Crew at home probably going to draw to Charlotte. But if the Crew are going to average 2.3 to 2.4 points a game, like I think they're going to for the rest of the season, they're going to have to get points on the road. They won 5 straight coming into tonight. So that'll make 6 straight undefeated if they get the draw here. And like Cooper said, I think they're arguably the best team in the league. They definitely have the best coach in the league. I think they have the best striker in the league. There's a lot of stuff going in their favor. Atlanta lined up tonight with basically only Saba and Silva on the wings as being like your scoring options. Rios doesn't offer you anything really. I know he's been scoring a couple of goals for Atlanta. The goal he got tonight was it was really kind of just a garbage goal that just like bounced around the box. And it fell to him, fortunate for him, and he put it away. But this team doesn't scare me in attack anymore. In fact, in the midfield, it was all 8s and 6s. They don't have a 10 right now. They're still talking to at Atlanta for Miranchuk. I just don't. That is not done. So he's not going to magically appear.
Is that weekend. A DP move?
It would absolutely be a DP move. Yeah.
Okay.
They're talking like at a $10-11 million fee right now. Guzan's still in goal. Y'all know I think he's washed, and he's just the end of his career. He's been great, but it's just the end of his career.
Yeah.
I just think this Atlanta side is very beatable right now based on the talent they're going to put out on the field. So yeah, I'm going to grab Crew draw no bet. The short rest does bother me here. Crew being on the road, going to the Benz doesn't bother me as much. But I expect both teams to do maybe a little bit of rotation. I think some teams might actually just try to push through it, knowing they've got a week off before Leagues Cup starts. But yeah, it's just been a busy month, man. I mean, we're looking at, I think this will be the 5th game already this month for both teams. And like most teams played either on the 3rd or the 4th. So you're looking at 5 games in 16, 17 days. It's just a rough stretch. So I'm just trying to be a little conservative here. Going to eat the juice, draw no bet with what I think is just a superb team to Atlanta.
Yeah, no, I think Columbus would have to bring less than their C+ game here, I'm going to say, for this to be an outright loss. I think they would have to sleepwalk. I think that I think Atlanta is in full-on survival mode. They're just trying to cling on, maybe get a little, reinvigorated for a Leagues Cup. But even then, I mean, they've been gutted. They've been gutted of all their big DPs, right? So I think they're in total survival mode. We have seen this Columbus team, just absolutely pour it on. We saw them go on the road and beat maybe the best team in the West, LAFC. I mean, certainly when Giroux gets there, they're probably the best team in the West. They beat them 5-1. They beat them like a drum, to the tune of 2.6 xGs in that game on the road. So, you always wonder when you got a midweek slate, how does it affect rotation? Like you mentioned, how does it affect motivation? Are players tired? This and that. Those are elements that could always be at play, but I think Columbus would have to totally flub here and just like sleepwalk for this to end up being an outright loss. They're just saying that these two teams are on different levels is an understatement, especially right now. So I'm right there with you. I think this is a smart approach with the draw no bet, because even if they did kind of sleepwalk, it's like, oh, hey, let's it's halftime. Let's get our stuff together. Let's salvage something here. And then, maybe you got to push worst case scenario. So I like it.
Before we jump into the next one, I do want to get to Steve's question where he asked, can they score tonight? Because that is LAFC hosting RSL. And I will just say it is hard to say, man. You have Chicho, Arango, and Gomez, pretty much their two best attackers suspended tonight. But you've also got two starters on LAFC's back line suspended in Morello and Palencia. So that's really a toss-up to me. I stayed away from that game simply because I think those things washed out, and then it becomes more murky as far as who does what there. So I honestly do not know. I'll just say I don't like it with their two best attackers out.
Yeah, I didn't have a single midweek play today. And this has just been typical midweek shenanigans. So, I mean, it's tough. I mean, Wednesday MLS has always been tough. We've done a decent job of managing it over the seasons, but it can definitely be tricky. So, all right, on to our next one here. This is my first play of the show. I'm keeping it simple here. I'm going to back the home side. I'm backing the Red Bulls to get this done at +102. Acosta banged up, wasn't even available on the bench today. So it's one of those, he's so important for this team. Like, he is so vital for this team. And seemingly best case scenario, he'd be available off the bench. And I wouldn't be shocked to see him look like, hey, we got Lee's Cup up. Let's just rest him, because he wasn't even on the bench today. So you see that approach taken a lot. Obviously, since he is still banged up at the in the defensive area at the center back position, that's not going to be necessarily repaired until they can bring somebody in over the window. I saw today that they were looking at bringing in, I think, a guy from Boavista in Portugal, maybe, that has some good starting experience and good leagues. I mean, I don't think he's like a superstar from my recollection, but they need it. They need him. But he's not there right now. He's not going to be there that soon. So this is a pretty simple fade for me. Obviously, I think Cincinnati's a great team. I think Red Bull's really good too. I think that they are very good, and they're really good at home. They're not going to have Forsberg back. Definitely not in a starting capacity. But they have managed pretty well to perform offensively, even over the international break during Euros and stuff, without Lewis Morgan and Forsberg. Lewis Morgan's back now, but they still put up very solid XG numbers at home and good chance creation. This team kind of reminds me, to a slightly lesser extent, they kind of remind me of that Inter Miami vibe, where the rest of the team has just improved and they've learned and they're just better, even when Messi or Forsberg is not on the field. Obviously, Forsberg is not Messi, but similar vibe because they still look good. They have looked good in attack and ball movement and basically, everything in the attack has looked solid even without Forsberg. So pretty simple fade for me here. I think Red Bull, they're at home. That's advantaged them big time as far as ending this portion of the season before Leagues Cup. I think they get it done here.
No, I like this look. Red Bulls they just have a good system. Montreal is terrible on the road. We talked about this, but tonight before the game got interrupted, they already put a 1.3 xG on them in the first half, scoring a goal to have a 1-0 lead there. For me, the big thing about Cincinnati is I'm going to look to fade them with that back line situation the way it is right now. Robinson will be at the Olympics. He won't be there. He got suspended last weekend, so that's why he missed tonight's game. But yeah, so now they're down their two best center backs and a depth piece because Hagelin is done for the year with an injury, and they play a back three religiously. So you're going to have some questionable center backs back there playing, and I think teams are going to be able to take advantage of it. I think it's going to lead to Cincy actually scoring more goals once Acosta comes back, but I think you'll see that more in Leagues Cup. Like Leagues Cup is where I'm looking at Cincy to play some overs. I think Red Bulls can absolutely get all 3 points here.
Hell yeah. Love it. Short and sweet. And like I said, there wasn't a lot to this. I mean, it's a pretty simple look. Good spot. I think it's a Red Bull spot, and I think they get it done. All right, on to our next one, which is going to be our 2-unit for today, and y'all might know where this one's going.
So yeah, it's the second best derby in the league, in my opinion. And we're going to hit the over 3 for 2 units at -118. I just love that price. I love the push protection there. This derby has never seen less than 3 goals in their 6 meetings head to head. Not that I'm a big head to head guy, but that is a cool stat. I've got a St. Louis side here giving up 27 goals on the road, and going to in their road games hitting 3 or more goals 80% of the time. Sporting KC have seen 3 or more goals in 79% of their games this season. That jumps to 83% for their home games. It's just everything's lining up here on short rest, on everything else going on. These two teams hate each other, and they're going to play hard. I think you could even see a debut or two for St. Louis. I talked to Matt Baker who covers St. Louis, and he doesn't think Hartzell's going to be involved, but really he's like a shadow striker, that 10 attacking mid guy that signed really early this year, like right after the window closed. I think you'll see him get some run, and St. Louis needs these reinforcements bad. This attack needs that help.
Yeah.
So I like it. It bothered me a little bit that KC went with both strikers and Agata and Polito playing tonight, where they got Polito playing more of a 10. But like I said, I think some teams are just going to push through this short rest, this congestion, and just try to see it out. So I'm going to stick with the over 3, keep it to 2 units instead of 3 units because of the congestion and short rest. And just, I'll be happy if we see 3 or more goals.
Yeah, no, this rivalry is awesome. And it's not, as far as at the Major League Soccer level, this is not a very old rivalry, but do we have an official name for this derby yet, or is it still kind of finding its feet?
I think it is still finding its feet. There's a couple of names going around. I don't know that any have actually stuck yet. So we will see.
Yeah, it's a heck of a game every year. Like you said, there have been some ass beatings in this game, like 4-0 one way. I think maybe even like 5-1 in one direction. There have been some butt kickings here. So,
and because of that, that's why with this particular derby, I tend to steer away from both teams to score in over 2.5.
Right.
Because again, we talked about these teams don't like each other. If they get a chance to embarrass the other one with a big blowout, they're going to do it. So I'd rather just keep the full game total. And with this one, just not mess with the adding the both teams to score to it.
When is a little bit, I mean, not totally off topic. I mean, it obviously involves each team. When is Tuchert available? Is he's we're still working on visa?
That's what Tuchert. Yes, you should see him Saturday in some. Excuse me, you should see him Saturday in some aspect.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if he'll start, but I do expect him to play. I think you could also see, not that it matters for the total, but I think you could also see at least named to the game day roster that Australian center back they signed.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on him? I'm sure that's one of your big leagues that you handicap.
I think he's got a lot of promise. Once Sydney moved him out of midfield as a defensive mid and put him in center back, he thrived. So there's definitely some legs there for potential.
Cool. All right, so there's our 2 unit, and we will keep it rolling. Next game on the docket. And again, I'll preface this. I want to let you guys know, to the best of my ability, what's going through my head here. This is going to be a gut play. Last time I had a gut play that involved Toronto, it didn't come through, but I'm just kind of feeling the ebbs and flows of the season for each one of these teams, and this is obviously also a derby. I think it's called the Canadian Classique, I think is how it's pronounced, because it's French. I'm going with both teams scoring over 2.5 here at -115. I've been encouraged watching this Montreal side at home. They clearly open it up, and they're more comfortable. They're more confident at home. They open it up at home, and I think this could be a game where I think both teams are going to care about it. Toronto is healthy. You got Insigne, Bernardeschi healthy. Now they got Etienne Jr. in the attack there. Kerr is back at striker. So they're pretty much healthy as far as the attack is concerned. And again, Montreal, I have seen them. I'm not saying they're good by any means, but I have seen them take some clear strides in the attack. In particular at home, we backed Montreal draw no bet last week's show against Atlanta, and they created 5 big chances, 2.08 xG. Another Canadian matchup from a week before, there were quite a few chances, and again, it ended 1-1 against Vancouver. Their last game before that was 4-2 to Philadelphia in a just absolute fireworks show there. So that's the kind of wide open play we have seen at Montreal home games of late. And again, Toronto, I think they have just enough to get on the score sheet here. I think Toronto is going to want to. They're going to want this game too. I mean, this is a big deal. And again, I mean, not all the numbers from both sides necessarily back this one up, but on a slate that was a little bit tricky, I think that there is. I think this is a good shout.
Yeah, it's interesting for real. I understand that it being more of a gut call. And with Montreal still, I mean, they're trying to warm. I think they're warming up now to try to get that game restarted. Yep. It's going to be a late night for Montreal. I don't know if they'll get that game finished before 11 Eastern or so, but we'll see.
They did rotate tonight, which is good.
They did. And Toronto, of course, played a decently strong lineup and still got smashed by Miami. So it's hard to say. One thing I'm starting to love with this Toronto side, though, is some kind of same game parlay with Insigne and Bernardeschi shots like that. They're just going to shoot. That's what those guys do.
Right.
So if there's something you love on the Montreal side, whether that's Joseph Martinez shots or corners or whatever you do, if you dabble in other avenues than just your basic plays, then yeah, I could see something like that as well, where those guys are going to shoot a lot. You can usually get one shot on target for each of them in a parlayable range, and can kind of build a same game parlay like that. Just another way to attack the game. Where I like Montreal at home. They do play more confident. And so I do expect them to really put some stuff on goal. I honestly thought about the draw here, just given the scenario and
Right.
who played tonight and what's going on. But these two teams just don't draw when they play each other, man. Like they just, I think it's what, for almost 40 head to heads, and you get 5 draws like between them.
Oh, wow.
So they just don't draw. So I pulled out of that. Didn't want to mess with that there. But yeah, that's just another way to attack it. I do think that Toronto can leak. So we'll see what Montreal can bring to the table because it's going to be on them.
Awesome. All righty, on to our next tier. Last game of the show. We've got Colorado Rapids. And man, I think Colorado, I've never been there, but I feel like that's one of the uglier stadiums in the league, to be honest. It reminds me of the FC Dallas Stadium, which I've been to many times, and I also think that one's super ugly. I would love to see, but then again, Colorado's known for their owners. Like everybody knows, he's cheap. He's the same guy that owns the Rams and I think the Nuggets, and he spends all of his money on those teams. So,
well, even those teams don't. I mean, like even those teams don't do the same, right? Like he's still pretty cheap with them, even though they both have had good runs lately. But yeah, so here we go.
hey, I'm taking that as a compliment.
You do. That stash is legendary. I just totally lost my train of thought with that comment. That is so ridiculous. All right, so you got the Colorado Rapids, and they're going to host RSL. Again, the big thing here, Chicho Arango suspended 4 games. I guess like 2 league games, an all-star game, and a Leagues Cup game. Like, I don't know how that works. It feels like a joke. But he's going to be suspended for this game for sure. So that hurts the Salt Lake attack. And so with that, I'll get into it. We're going to get the under 3.5, and we're going to pay some juice here as well from -132. The unders were not kind to me tonight, but going to stay in the flames as I've got the Rapids, who are a top 12 defense at home with 12.66 expected goals against in 12 home games. Both attacks are great. Like we've talked about that on the show before, but we talk with RSL missing their best attacker in the current Golden Boot leader, Arango. The Rapids are missing Mihailovic for the Olympics, and he's been their best creator. So I think it's both kind of washes out here, and I'm not expecting these attacks to be as formidable as they have been. Normally, Colorado elevation is a nice advantage for this team, but I'm not going to back Colorado here in this situation because RSL plays at the second highest elevation in the league. So elevation doesn't bother RSL as much as it would maybe some other teams.
Right.
You've also, I talked about it, you got this just July match congestion where the Rapids, they're going to be, by the time this game comes around, they will have averaged a game every 3.2 days since Independence Day. And RSL have averaged a game every 3.4 days over that same span. So it's just games all the time. Eventually, these legs got to get tired, right? As you start looking to Leagues Cup, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm able to get the under 3.5 here at a playable price, even with some juice for me. I'm gonna fire on it.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I like a more than this under. I like a couple of unders. Obviously, we back 2 overs on the show so far, but there's some decent underlooks. And when you start talking about schedule congestion and tired legs and also, sometimes teams are kind of like, I'm not saying that this happens all the time, but hey, last game until Leagues Cup, let's take our foot off the gas, maybe 5-10% and play kick the can for a little bit. And so I've seen it happen before. I wouldn't mind seeing it here. Mihailovic missing obviously is a very big deal for that Rapids attack since he plays that 10 spot. And then, no Chicho because of the suspension for whatever / whoever he harassed. Couldn't have been that bad. You're only.
I mean, it's a 4-gamer. That's pretty decent, but like, violating the anti-harassment policy, and that's all the league says.
Does that mean like inside the organization, or did he
I literally could not tell you. Like, he
like did,
doesn't.
like did he was there like a good looking reporter that he gave a little kiss on the cheek or something?
I do not know. No idea. Don't
Something
know
like
what it
that.
means.
Yeah,
That's just what the suspension is called.
interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, so missing those guys, obviously, 3.5 is a big number. RSL, fantastic attack, but you're missing your spearhead, and also on the road. Um, uh, you talked about the elevation. I'm
Yes.
cool with it. Yeah, I'm cool with it. I mean, not a ton to it. Last,
It's not my favorite like show because of, normally I don't give out this much juice, but it's just, again, I've talked about it on previous shows this month. It's a weird month. It's a weird slate. I like the matchups. It's just I'm just trying to play it safe because we're firing this while games are still going on tonight, right? Like, people are literally getting suspended as we're talking, and so it's
yeah,
hard to like really game plan what some of these games look like in 2 days.
exactly, exactly. Cool. Let's see here. Back to us. Let me just hit one more that I want to ask you about. I want to ask you about Galaxy in general. Um, is it overblown to maybe state, is Joveljic that important to this attack? Because without him, they've looked a little funky.
So I think it's a yes and no, and that doesn't make a lot of sense. But like, he's he's good at what he does. Um, I I don't when the Galaxy don't do well, like when they don't score, like last week, it is typically, and from my observations, because Puig is doing too much. And like, when that guy just lets the game come to him instead of trying to force everything, the team is just so much better. So it really just comes down to a consistency issue and a discipline issue from Puig. I think Paint Still is fine as a 9. He's got the speed for you to just let him run. I like Peck on the wing. Like, the talent is there. When they do lay a dud, it's yeah, I feel like it's just because he's trying too hard. He's trying to do too much in the game. And I think he feels some of that pressure when Joveljic isn't there. I think you could put a number of strikers in there at the 9 and they would do just fine. The problem is they don't have one after Joveljic. Like, it's Barry, and Barry
Yeah,
doesn't even make the squad anymore, right? They've just said, Paint, so you go do it. Um, so that when they lay a dud, that's why I think they lay a dud. Joveljic is good, and he's good for this team, but he is not this end all be all, right? Like I said, I think you could insert a number of strikers that are in MLS currently, and this team would be humming right along.
yeah, that's fair. Any other looks for you that are worth a little chit chat about? I really don't have anything else. Everything else for me would be lineup checks on Saturday, just because of the
I
congestion.
I want to see the lineup, but man, FC Dallas is plus 250 going to New England.
I almost brought that one
Like,
up.
I don't. They're at least going to score. I don't. They
Yeah,
might score multiple. So like that's just a line where like, and I think they're up right now. Let me see if they've. I'm curious about when they made subs, right? So yeah, so like man, they're doing it smart. They took Moose out at the 60-minute mark. He went out at halftime the game before, so they're setting it up so they can still use him. Yeah, that Dallas line is going to be interesting. The way New England looked tonight against the worst team in the East in Philly is atrocious. And Dallas is definitely a better scoring team currently right now, in my opinion, than Philly.
hmm
So yeah, at plus 250, double chances playable, like all of that is interesting to me. Team total um is going to be interesting. That's one that jumps out to me. Uh Charlotte again. I mean, you look at them tonight, getting a draw with the Crew. I've been high on this team. We've got futures on this team as far as making the playoffs and stuff. They're hanging plus 185 for Austin at home. Like Austin's the home team. Charlotte's traveling to Austin. That's one where I want to check weather. Definitely, Abada should be gone by then for the Olympics.
Yeah.
I think he was playing these last 2 games, and then he's going to go to the Olympic camp. So it's just an interesting spot for a team that is just disciplined and well drilled, which is what Charlotte is, versus a team that we know is not disciplined and well drilled. In fact, Jerusi's going to miss this game. He got the red card tonight. So
that's an under.
So, yeah, but I think there might be a little value on that Charlotte money line hanging at plus 185. You can draw no bet is easily going to be playable there for Charlotte. So
Yeah,
another road team I like, and that's odd because I'm not a big road guy. But man, just the way this night played out, that's looking like a good spot. I'm also very interested. Again, it's lineup dependent. These legs are going to be tired, but the Vancouver Houston over. Houston is almost assuredly going to make his going to get the debut to Ponce. We know Vancouver can score. That's super interesting as well as there. It's already at 3.25, which just feels high normally for a Houston game. So maybe both teams to score on over 2.5 or something.
I kind of like Vancouver tonight.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't see why you wouldn't. Like anytime you're playing KC, like I think that's a decent look. And when you talked about the Galaxy, I like the Galaxy and Portland goals. I'm not going to pay a 3.5. Not there, not in that spot. So we'll have to see if I can get something live there. Not really is what I'm looking at, because there's no value in the both teams to scoring over 2.5 there either. So that's a live look, trying to grab a live over 2.5 or something.
Graham, this would be a question for Footy. Which newly released third kit is the best? Kansas City?
The best?
Yeah.
I'm going to get flack for this, but the best is the Miami's.
I love it.
I mean that the Miami one.
You were wearing that today.
Man. Well, no, it's gonna come up on the show. Like they're currently shipping. Like it's not instant.
Okay. I thought it was making an appearance today.
No, on the show shortly. They all will. I mean, I got them all. I can't help myself. But no, the Miami one is one of my favorites, especially when you throw the old school font Messi on the back of it.
Yeah,
it just looks sick, man. It looks awesome. But they're all clean. They're all clean. I love that the KC went with the Wizards. I love that LAFC did this kind of like just retro look. It looks good.
That one.
Galaxy bringing back those colors on the wall with the hat, like that is a classic Galaxy look. It's all good. The Timbers is a cool one in the sense it just looks like it looks, again, they're all like supposed to be like, retro styles, right? But I like the Timbers font and the color scheme they used. It looks clean. They're all great. But yeah, the Miami one was the must have.
Yeah, the Miami one was sick. I like the LAFC one because that's one you could wear with a lot of different outfit combos, and it was I like them both. But alrighty, we'll run through these one more time and we'll wrap it up. While I'm doing it, make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel if you hadn't already. Like the video if you hadn't already. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at MLSLIVE Podcast. We got Columbus Crew, draw no bet, minus 136. And then we got New York Red Bulls, money line, plus 102. We got our 2 unit for the show for today in the still unnamed Derby, Sporting KC St. Louis City over 3 for 2 units. Then we got another Derby, the Canadian Classique, Montreal, Toronto, both teams to score in over 2.5, minus 115. And then we rounded out with a under Colorado and RSL under 3.5. So that's going to do it for us, folks. Thanks to everybody who tuned in live. As always, thanks you for tuning in at any point later in the week. Hopefully the lines haven't moved too much by the time you're watching this. Feel free to DM us.
They will jump, man. They are, when you have midweek slates like that, they get hammered on Thursday.
Yeah, they probably are going to jump, but DM us, on our Twitter handles here, or DM us at the MLS Live podcast account. We'll try to get back to you when we can if you have any questions, and we will see you guys next week for special edition Leagues Cup episodes. They will begin, and we'll be covering you on that front as well, and we'll hope to keep it going.
See you guys. Best of luck.
See y'all next week.